Hey guys, Julian McBain here, and I want to welcome you back to my goal setting webinar series. And this is episode 2. We're going to be talking about choosing achievable goals. In the last episode, we talked about picking specific goals and why it's so important that you have a specific goal, because if you don't have a specific goal, there's no motivation behind you to go after it. Well, now we're also going to talk about the other half of that, and that's choosing achievable goals. Because without a goal that's achievable, there's no motivation to go after it either. You can be very specific, but if it's not achievable, what's the point of going after it? Now, just like in the last one, I've linked the source material for all of this down below on the webpage. There should be a previous button over here that will let you go back to the first episode if you want to rewatch it, or if somehow you manage to land on this particular episode first. And there'll be a next button over here for the next one. If I did turn this into an email series at any point, then those buttons may not be there. Don't worry about it. It'll come in the next email. So with that, I'm going to jump right into it. Choosing something achievable. So when we picked our specific goal and you thought about it and you broke it down, and you said, okay, this is what I need to do to get to that specific goal. Did you make sure it was something that you could accomplish? Because your goal could be to climb all 7 major peaks. And that's awesome. I think there's technically 8 peaks, because there's argument over 2 of them. And I don't know much about it. My sister does this. I saw all the stuff that she does, and she just blows me away with the amount that she can do for mountain climbing. And I thought I was athletic, not compared to her. But if you don't have the resources to fly to other continents, that goal may not be achievable for you right now. That doesn't say to get rid of the goal, but that means you're going to have to work backward and break that goal down into steps. And now one of those sub goals, which is achievable, is save the money for the plane ticket. Achievable goal. Once you've achieved that goal, now climbing the mountain becomes an achievable goal. So it's not that it was out of reach, or it's not that it was unachievable. It's just that it was currently out of reach. You had other things to do first. In video gaming, which, as I'm sure you all know, I'm a big video gamer. When you have a quest chain, you start with little pieces of the chain. And it's often called a breadcrumb. It leads to the next bit. And you accomplish the first quest, and then it moves you into the second quest, and it moves you into the third quest. And eventually you build up to the climax of the quest chain. So in this case, it's, okay, in order to climb Mount Everest, first you need to save up the money for the gear and the plane ticket. And then you need to find the group that you're going with. If I don't know how groups for Everest are formed. I don't think anyone solos Everest, or at least not and comes back. And then you schedule the time to do it, and you manage to get all of these pieces into place. And then finally you're at the base of the mountain. And that's when your grand quest begins, and you climb the mountain, and hopefully in the case of Everest, you come back down again. See, it wasn't that it was unachievable. It was, you have to come up with the pieces of it to make it achievable. And I think a lot of us, we always dream big, but we never think of the little things that come before you get to the big part. And so what you need to do is, as you're breaking down your goal, come up with the achievable bits that make the big goal achievable. And again, number 4 was write it down. Write all of this down. Because what it comes down to is motivation. When you pick a big goal, whether it's achievable or not, it can be very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming to go after that goal. Because you look at this goal and you're like, I want to climb Mount Everest. Awesome. How are you going to do it? Suddenly it becomes this insurmountable goal. And climbing Mount Everest is one hell of a goal. If you're going after it, Awesome for you. I want to hear your story. But it becomes so overwhelming, you never start. And if you never start, well, then what's the point of the goal? So break it down into pieces that are easily digestible. And you go after that piece. And then accomplishing that bit will motivate you into moving into the next bit. And honestly, this is something that I've struggled with. And this is why I wanted to really kind of focus on the goal setting and achievability issue, because I like to dream big. I do. I mean, hell, I'm on YouTube. I must be dreaming big if I'm on YouTube, right? So in order to make all of this work, I had to break the goal down. And so my first goal was I want to post twice a week on YouTube, become a content creator. So I just started with Entropia Universe, 2 videos a week. And then after about, I think it was a month and a half, maybe it was just a month. It wasn't very long. I'm like, well, I want to do not first person. I want to do one-player games as well. I really enjoy doing one-player games, and it gives me an excuse. It makes me actually play my game library. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do first? Well, as it happened, We Happy Few I just released. Well, there you go. I am now going to do one-player games. And so twice a week I did Entropia Universe, and twice a week I did We Happy Few. Now, when I started, I had no clue that We Happy Few would run 70 episodes. That turned into a pretty big project, but I didn't know it at the time. And having the goal of finishing, I think I finished it. I think I actually finished it more because I didn't know how big a project it was going to be. Or no, more accurately, I started because I didn't know how big a project it was going to be when I started. And now that I'm done, the feeling of accomplishment boosts the confidence as I move into the next project, which happens to be Borderlands. Now, if you guys aren't people who watch my video gaming series, I'm sure all of you are like, but think about it. A video game, much like any goal in life, has a fixed beginning point, midpoint, and end point. And at its beginning point, everything's fresh and exciting and new, and you're just figuring things out. And at the end point, you get the feeling of accomplishment as you finish things up and you get the closure and the story was great. But in the middle, there's going to be a grindy bit. And this is as true in video gaming as it is in life. There's going to be a grindy bit. And there's going to be places where you don't want to do it anymore. And you're going to be like, why am I doing this? Why is the goal so important? Maybe I don't need to have the goal. Maybe I'm okay where I was. And that's why people don't finish video games. That's why you don't achieve your goals. And so when you get stuck on the grindy bit, because you don't have that feeling of accomplishment, your drive to complete eventually fades away. And that's why breaking down the larger goal into smaller, more achievable bits is so important. Because it allows you to accomplish something. You get the cookie. It's a small cookie as compared to the big cookie of finishing the big goal. It's a small cookie, but you get the cookie that gives you the motivation to go from step 1 to 2 to 3, all the way up to however many steps it takes to accomplish the big goal. Achievable goal setting really just comes down to setting up the plan of action. Break it down until you know you can achieve each step. And each step may have to have sub-steps. You don't want to break it down too terribly much, because then it becomes arbitrary and you're like, yay, I completed 5 steps in a day. No, that's too broken down. But break it down enough to where each goal has meaning to you, each sub-goal has meaning to you, and pushes you along the way to accomplish the bigger goal. And soon you'll find that you're achieving those goals that you set for yourself. Now, of course, none of this is worthwhile. No, I won't say that. None of this is going to happen if you just set the goal but no endpoint. And so in the next episode, we're going to talk about deadlines and why they are so important. If there's one key takeaway, take away this. You choose a goal and you make sure it's achievable. If it's not achievable and as a whole, break it down to its parts and find the parts that are achievable. Create the plan of action to achieve the goal. Your 2 steps along the 5-step journey to accomplishing whatever it is you set out to do. Have faith in yourself and your ability to do so. Out of everything else, that is the most important factor. And by setting these achievable goals, you'll have more faith that you can do it. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next one.